What sounds like the plot of a movie, but reality not far from that in Southern California today.
13 people found shackled inside their parents' home, and police say it was their own parents who tortured and endangered their children.
Heard several of the children are adults, so what happens? Why did they try to escape before? And if not, why not? Could it be what's called Stockholm Syndrome? Joining us now is Dr. Patrick Wanis. Doctor, if you would, first give us a brief working description of the Stockholm Syndrome.
Sure. Stockholm Syndrome is a term that's used to describe the phenomena whereby someone that's taken hostage or held captive either builds an emotional attachment, creates positive feelings, falls in love with, or even sides with the person that actually took them hostage and is holding them captive.
So what do you think was going on in the minds of these kids, and why does it appear that none of them tried to escape until now?
Well, one of the reasons that we see the children not trying to escape before now is because of Stockholm Syndrome, whereby they're actually bonded and attached to the parents and afraid of going outside. You see, for Stockholm Syndrome to succeed, we need a couple of things. One of them is fear of the outside world. Second is dependency upon the person that's holding them captive. And then third, they need to be afraid of the outside world. It needs to be us against them, us against the outside world. So what's even more interesting is, what was that little thing that triggered the girl to actually decide, I'm going to run away, I'm going to call 911?
Yeah, that was what I wanted to ask you. What do you think went through her mind? How do you think she finally came up with the courage to do that?
Well, if you look at what the family was doing, they're actually arresting the development of the children. They stripped away the identity of the children by dressing them all alike. The haircuts were the same, the clothes were the same. This wasn't a school uniform. This was almost like a cult. Obviously, this girl must have had some access to something that made her say, I'm going to have the courage, I'm going to break away from these bonds, literally from these chains and these shackles.
Do you think she would have discussed it with her other brothers and sisters, and would she have had the support of them, or would this have been something that maybe she just did on her own?
These are very interesting questions, Frank, and I think the only way I can sum them up is by saying I looked at a lot of these photos on Facebook, and a lot of the children have very blank looks. They're shut down, they're almost invisible. In fact, one of the neighbours said that she had seen some of the children playing in the yard, well, not playing in the yard, but digging in the yard, and felt that they were invisible. I would think, it seems to me like possibly this girl, this one girl, acted on her own. You look at this this disparity in the ages from 2 to 29, and the neighbours describe the adult children who are in their 20s looking like they're 10 and 12 years of age because of the fact that their development was arrested. So they're going to have a lot of fear. They're going to become even more dependent upon their parents and very afraid of breaking away. Yeah, and if I can add one more thing, Frank, this could not have happened, or would never have happened, if people didn't live according to this belief that it's none of my business. Because the neighbours saw clues. There are always clues. The children were outside very rarely, but when they were, they looked much younger than their actual chronological age. They looked pale, like they had never seen the sun, and they were emaciated. Right away, that tells you there's something wrong with this family, and yet no one did anything.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to that human nature of, I don't want to get involved, or in your mind you come up with some kind of explanation for it, as opposed to that saying, if you see something, say something.
You know, Frank, the definition of a hero is someone that's willing to risk their life to save the life of someone else. We don't have enough heroes today. Now we're stepping in and we're doing something about this family, but the path for these children is going to be a very long path. It's not just about reintegration into society. It's about helping the children to actually regain their own identity, try to see if we can heal them with their social development, their mental, their cognitive development, and then most of all, the hardest part is going to be breaking those bonds between the parents and the children. Now, you don't usually say we want to break the bonds between children and parents, but we do in this situation if the parents are starving the children, if the children are malnourished, and if the children are literally shackled and kept in disgusting circumstances. Again, I think, for me, a key point is when we see things, we've got to speak up.
7 of these children were adults over the age of 18. Do you think that as they were going through these conditions, as some of them were shackled, as they were starving, as they were living in these horrible conditions, in their minds, did they know that this was wrong?
There's going to be some of them that are going to know some of the things are wrong, but not all of the things. Remember too, Frank, this didn't happen overnight. If you've got a child an adult who's 29, that means this has been going on for a long time. There's 13 children, and listen to what the paternal grandmother said. She said, I haven't been in contact with the children for 5 years. She hasn't seen them. So who knows how much worse it got over the past 5 years. And then what about the aunts and the uncles? The aunts and the uncles say, well, we've never spoken to the children.
The one thing
We've spoken to our sister, the mother, but they never actually spoke to the children on the phone. So the children were isolated, so it's going to be hard for them to know exactly what's right and what's wrong. The lines are blurred.
One thing that really got me today was the police saying that the mother was perplexed when deputies showed up. What goes on in the mind
of parents? If that's true.
Yeah,
if that is true, no, there's a reason I'm saying that.
Okay.
If it's true that the mother truly was sincerely perplexed, then it means it was the father that was the dominant one. It was the father that was the leader. It was the father that was driving this, obviously with the aid of the mother, but he probably brainwashed her into thinking what they were doing was right. Remember too, the father had registered that address as a school daycare centre of some type. So he always had the plan, I'm going to isolate my children from the rest of the world. The mother, again, I don't know her background, must have thought, oh, this is okay. Now, why would she think that? She must have been brainwashed by the husband.
Doctor, we sure appreciate you talking with us. Some very interesting interesting insights from you, and you know, just thank God all those children are now safe. Doctor, thanks again.
Well, that's the most important part. Thank you.
Yeah.